All right, we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Matthew and Doris here. And we have a special guest joining us today, Mr. Ty Richards. And we were reading about your story, and it said, Austin musician accused of being a Nazi for virtually no reason. And we thought, that sounds familiar. Who is this guy? So, Ty, welcome. Make yourself at home. And with that, we invite you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, Matthew and Doris? Thanks for reaching out. And my name's Ty Richards, and I don't really know what else to say other than I'm here, and I'm here to have a discussion with you guys. I'd love to kind of share my story and hear your story of how we were both, run out of Austin, or attempt to be run. I'm not run out of Austin yet. I refuse to be.
Yeah, that's good. So speaking of that, how do you think people are going to react seeing you talk to, the crazy Matthew and Doris that were kicked out of Austin, so to speak?
Well, that's the funny thing is that I think in both of our cases, it's like, what did we really do? In our case, we had an interview where we basically were talking about immigration because she's immigrated here, and then she says was making fun of some feminist bands, said feminist bands suck, which it's up for debate.
That's a no, man. You can't do that. Don't you know?
Funny story, actually. When I said the feminist bands suck, these feminists went out of their way to create a band I called them Lazy Jellyfish. So they went out of their way to make a band called Lazy Jellyfish, and they were like, yeah, let's create an improv band or something like that. And it totally sucked. They were so bad. And it was like, you realize you're proving my point, right? It's so funny. And then they just disappeared. But yeah,
that's a sacred cow. You can't touch stuff like that. There are only a certain amount of things that you're allowed to write songs about, and there's only a certain amount of things you're allowed to talk about too. And
so as far as I understand, your song was banned from the radio. And what did you do? What did you say? I feel like you didn't really do or say anything. You were flirting with some ideas, what got you?
I wrote a song. So I wrote a whole album called Welcome to Flat Earth. The whole album is filled with things that are, I'm calling it more of it's me exploring dissonant sounds and dissonant opinions. So there are opinions that real actual people in real life have, like Flat Earth. There are a lot of people who believe in Flat Earth. There are a lot of people who believe in lizard people. There are a lot of people who believe that the moon landing was fake. There are people who would, these Western chauvinist folk, these Proud Boys. And so, and even if you listen to it with the music, I'm sure no one criticizing me has actually listened to the entire album, because it is that an exploration of that dissonance that, I knew it was going to rub with culture. I knew it was going to be offensive to some people, but I also knew that, I don't know, it just, that's kind of where I was at with it. But so I wrote a ton of songs that are potentially offensive. And I released 3 singles, and KUTX went around those singles. They were the less offensive singles. They went around those singles and went to the most offensive one, and they chose Western Chauvinist, and they handpicked it. They had me even custom make a bleeped version of it. The song says fuck twice in the first verse. It's the only song with curse words in it. It says fuck twice in the first verse. It's an incredibly aggressive song.
Shame on you.
What?
I said, shame on you.
Yeah. So I wrote the damn song and put it and then they spun it for 3 months at heavy rotation. And then what do you know, I was not expecting this at all. Gavin McInnes shared it on his page, and then I get this email from KUTX that says, it seemed pretty unassuming, it didn't seem like that big of a deal, but it was we've been getting some complaints, we've got some emails about your song, and we thought nothing of it. But now that Gavin McInnes has retweeted it, we need to do something. So we would like to get a statement of intent and maybe some other feedback that you've got from other people. It was a pretty nice email. That's why I'm not posting the names. I'm not trying to go after anyone, but I immediately was like shocked and kind of scared. I was like, oh, I guess I need to write, like I need to write something for them. I don't want to make people angry, but I even started to write the email. I actually have like 2 or 3 different versions of the draft. I almost wrote it. And I don't know, long story short is so I was going kind of, I just said, hey, I'll write this up tonight. I just found out about this. I'm not really even on Twitter at all. Like I have 100 followers. I'm not active at all.
Yeah.
So what I did was I went to, I told her I'd write one real quick, and I wrote 3 different versions, and I couldn't bring myself to send any of them because it just felt like I was lying. I was just saying, I was just kind of writing what I think about it, but I knew that it wasn't going to help them at all. It wasn't going to save them from Gavin McInnes retweeting it. So I legitimately don't have intention with my music, and people call bullshit on that, but it really is true. I go in, I press record, I start playing drums, and then I start playing bass, and then I have the whole song done, and then I just put lyrics down. I don't really actually put a lot of thought into it. I put stuff that you know, I hit record and start writing lyrics as I'm recording. So it's a very holistic process. And I was trying to explain that, and the more I explained it, the more I felt gross. It just, so whatever. I ended up reaching out to my buddy who's at the station, and then the next thing I know, it's like I'm trying not to throw anyone under the bus because I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but what it led to was I asked my friend point blank, I said, if I write this statement and I send it, because I'm ready to send it tonight, is the song going to go back up? And he said, no, like in the meeting, there's no way it's gonna go back up, like no matter what the statement says. So now I'm like, dude, I spent 2 whole days trying to craft statements to get the right thing, to where, like, I don't know. It's just, and I wasted two entire days of my life, like work days, to try to make it right. And so to confirm, I didn't want to like go off on them for anything, but to confirm that they weren't going to put it back up, I sent an email directly back to the person at KETX, and I just double confirmed it. I said, if when I send this statement, are you guys going to put the song back up? And I heard nothing. Like they were in a rush too. They needed to get a statement quick. I heard nothing for 20 hours. It was the next day at noon or something that I still hadn't heard anything. So I sent them just a question mark, like, hey, did you get the email? And the next, like 5 minutes later, someone higher up at KUTX immediately responded much more directly. And you can see the email on my Facebook. It was all like very passive aggressive, but it was at the same time, it was aggressive. It was kind of not to say microaggression, but it was more, it was designed to, he told me that it would go back up.
Wow. So basically,
so he boldface lied to me to get me to write a statement, so that statement would save their ass from 5 or 6 people sending emails.
This is really, really interesting. I mean, I'm just fascinated because you haven't even sided with any ideology. The record's clearly a hodgepodge of
different
alternative ideas, and
yeah.
And even just the mention of it is too much. They're having these serious roundtable discussions on like, guys, what are we gonna do about this? You know, it's just like it's like, wow, it's just the fear of the of banned ideas in 2018. I'm just
my question is it possible to not offend 5 people? there are 1 million people in Austin. How is it possible to write a song that won't like discount 5 people out of 1 million? And this was all over 5 emails complaints that they got.
That's crazy. So the minority of the people who are offended always wins for some reason. It's like the majority doesn't care, but they always side with the minority of like the 5 butthurt people who can't, you know.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease. The squeaky wheel always gets the grease. And they were willing to throw me under the bus in order to appease 5 people. and boldface lie to me. And then I got a second email from the original person who had emailed me, and I guess she didn't realize that I got the first email, or got the email from the other person. So it's all, you know, she lied about it too. So it says, like, I can't quote it directly. You'll have to look it up on the email. I'm bad at quoting things, but it's there, and it's just crazy, man. Because I immediately, I don't deal well with people lying to my face. So when people lie to my face and ask me to do something, my instinct is to do the exact fucking opposite of that thing. So I was like, what's the worst thing that I could do right now to these people who are lying to me and trying to coerce me to write a statement to save their ass from 5 angry people?
Yeah.
Just go on Gavin McInnes's show directly.
I know.
Yeah,
what messes with my head is that your song got banned not because of something that you said. It's of something that somebody else said that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, and I didn't talk about the timeline, right? But the song was banned in between that point where I got the very first email, and from when I, you know, was met up with my friend from the station who told me that they weren't going to play the song regardless of what I wrote.
They were basically just in damage control. They knew they were going to drop the song from rotation.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, if we can convince him to puss out and make this thing where you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it. I shouldn't have thought that.
I almost wrote it, dude, and I didn't write that, but I mean, what I wrote, they wanted me to write something they could post to their website to say, hey, refer to this, and I get it, that's well intentioned, but at the same time, what I had planned to write to them, they would not have posted to that because it didn't pick a side. They were asking me to pick a side, and even though my lyrics like cover societal things that are now political, to me, I'm not political. I don't care. Like I think there are great things about both sides. I've never really wanted to take a side on any of that stuff. I wrote the song with the intention of, wow, this is kind of cool. It could be interpreted either way. And so, yeah, that's
the purpose of musicians, is to look at what's happening and comment and be kind of a filter for things that are happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are some of the effects that you've experienced, like just in day-to-day life, of any people, you know, ousted you or just refused to talk to you or associate with you or something like that? Or is it not fully gone that way yet?
Yeah, it's a lot of I'll say it's good and it's really good and really bad. So I'm getting a lot of amazing support from friends who it's cool. And then also I'm getting a lot of pressure that are saying, what are you doing, Ty? Why are you doing this? And they don't get it. And I feel like the people that don't get it don't get art, and they don't get truth. Like the whole time I'm writing these emails, like I feel like I'm lying.
They're so afraid because you're upsetting the apple cart. You're flirting with these forbidden ideas, and you know we've really come a long way since Sinead O'Connor lit a picture of the Pope on fire. Like, wow, that's really avant-garde. Wow, so cool. She like sold hundreds of records that day. You know, it's like, wow, but now it's like, thought criminal.
Yeah, it's almost about what you don't say at this point, because, you know,
right.
With Matthew and I, it's like we have said some stuff that was just outspoken and direct and, you know, against feminism and stuff like that. But you did, the crazy thing to me is that you didn't say anything. You just made a song that could be interpreted 2 ways, in my opinion. Like, if you're on the left, for example, it could be viewed as like kind of like mocking the Proud Boys. But if you're on the right, it can be like like an anthem for them. Or if you're a centrist, it's just like, oh, just like an observation. It like doesn't.
Right. Across the board, everybody loved the song. Left extremists loved it because they're like, oh, they're making fun of Proud Boys, haha. Everybody on the right loved it because they're like, fuck yeah, America. And then everyone in the middle just loved it because it's a good jam. It's like, God forbid everyone likes the same fucking song. Oh my God.
Yeah. God forbid people actually agree on something on both sides. It's like, man, can't we just...
Well, art and entertainment has become so politicized. Like any late night talk show host is basically an anti-Trump pundit and they're supposed to they're supposed to be a comedian to entertain people, but no, it's like, so if you have a platform where you're making music or comedian or ABC, then you're basically your unspoken requirement to pick a side. It's like, you gotta pick a side.
It's all fashion. It's like, which side of fashion are you on? And I just maybe is there some kind of link to I'm not even gonna go there. I don't even want to mention the freaking word. It just, fashion sounds like fascism. I don't know. But there's this fashion to it where it's like, pick a side. It's so cool. Dude, screw that. Why? What's the point? We're all gonna look back in 10 years and be like, oh my God, I wish I would have shut up about all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, I think this time will be looked back upon in an kind of a like, wow, we were there kind of way, but it's just an uproar.
I hope so.
It's an uproar, so it's,
yeah.
That's a weird thing. It's like you can't have multiple opinions almost. Like, even, especially I feel like in Austin, if you even edge on the side of just not being a neoliberal and saying like, oh, well, he's like, maybe I don't agree with some aspects of feminism, and it's immediately like, what? You're anti-woman? It's like, no, I'm not.
Well, the word in the scene in Austin is anti-feminism. I've had friends accused of being anti-feminist, and they're blackballed from clubs. And man, it's like, I've got one of the biggest bookers. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's out texting every mutual friend, every other club booker, every other club owner to blacklist me, and trying to convince everyone that I'm a Nazi white supremacist. And
Wow.
This is here's the thing, is like, I'm not whining about any of this. I know what I'm getting into. I know what I was getting into when I wrote the song, and I know what I was getting into when I released the song. The album was dropped by my LA publicist as well, and like way back, like 6 months ago, before I had even like started rolling out the record. So I had already I've known for a long time that this song is a shit stir, but also I didn't pick it and play it for like on heavy rotation for 3 months. I actually offered them other songs, and that's the one that they wanted. So
I know,
it's like, write your own damn statement. Like, I'm not gonna apologize for you spinning my offensive song.
Well,
exactly.
That's why they were freaking out too, because they realized that you didn't sneak it into rotation. They heard your album. That they dropped it on the air. So
yeah, you didn't break into their radio station and like, made some secret playlist you didn't like hack into their system. It's like they chose it because they liked it.
Yeah.
Now they feel like this. They have this obligation to discredit you or your music because they feel like being virtuous and being, like, oh, somebody might be a Nazi, so let's go ahead and ban them, so that way,
Just in case.
guys.
I still don't get why they use the word Nazi. I mean, don't they realize that was a socialist party in Germany? And aren't all these Antifa aren't they all socialists?
I think we have to clarify who they are too, because this isn't everyone in Austin. This is a very, very small amount of people. I would say the biggest problem is PC corporate culture.
Yeah.
They haven't publicly called me a Nazi, but the kind of like, I don't know what you call them, social justice warrior few of Austin, they're the ones who are out blasting the Nazi white supremacists.
And you're saying that's a minority in Austin? Last time I remember, I felt like that was like,
I'll say 5%. The idea might be a majority, but the people who actually will go out and actually call me a Nazi, it's actually like
agitators.
It's a small amount of people who will actually come out and say it, because everyone else realizes how stupid and how insane they look when they're accusing me of being a Nazi. So it's just, but yeah, that being said, the people who haven't chimed in public, I'm not expecting anyone to chime in publicly. I don't care. But that being said, I know like a lot of people have reached out to me privately and just give me a ton of support and get it. But the people, there are a lot of friends that I've had that I would say just there's like pressure to be like, what are you doing, Ty? You're ruining your career. Because KUTX is the golden calf, man. Like KUTX and that that booker who's trying to like blacklist me, or I'm probably already blacklisted, so whatever.
Yeah, and maybe not aggressively by the real agitators, the Antifa, or the real moral superior sign waivers, but just out of the fear, people realize that there is a stigma to going out coloring outside the lines with even just the slightest bit. So people will just avoid you if you're like a modern day leper now.
Well, it's a huge conflict of interest for anyone to be involved with me now, because to support me is to go against KUTX, and now it's to go against this Booker dude from from downtown, and it's like, if you support me, then you might not be played on KUTX, and you might not ever get a good gig. So it's people's livelihood, so I get it. I'm not mad for anyone for kind of like disassociating with me. I just think it's it's stupid that we live in a world where they would have to do that. It's so dumb.
At this point, there's a mathematics to it. There's a mathematics. It's like, okay, if you say this, then X equals X to the third power.
That's so crazy.
It's actually like a chemistry to it, where it's like you add a drop of this, and then boom, that's going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
But
they take this idea that if you have one opinion, it means that you have other opinions too. And they said, basically, with your situation, they said, okay, he got banned because some other guy liked his song. It's like, and you not saying that you wanted this, it's like, why would you have to be political? It's like, they're like, please be political. You must.
I know, they're mad that I'm not political.
All of this reinforces my theory that really, you can say it goes both ways, but really the left creates the right, because we weren't even political whatsoever. And, the other day, for instance, we went out to an anti-Trump protest.
Oh, yeah.
We went by to check it out, and
oh my gosh,
and we truly genuinely went, we're like, let's just talk to people, because ultimately the goal to move anything forward is going to be to find a common ground. And so we were trying to really say, like, where does this stem from? Like, was dad a bad guy? Were you rejected in life? Like, how did you end up?
A bad life.
How did you end up out, with this much vitriol?
Man, I've seen some of those YouTube videos. It's crazy. How much, I don't know.
And the left creates the right, because people look at it and they go, well,
I think the left and the right need each other traditionally over time. Like, I've always been kind of more of like a classical liberal, in the sense of, and I just, like I said earlier, I'm more of a Frank Zappaist. I just want to be able to make my art and say whatever the fuck I want to say.
Yeah.
And the argument is always, oh, but there's consequences for what you say. Well, yeah, there's always consequences for what you say. And I'm not mad about consequences. That's the whole thing, is people think I'm mad about all these consequences. I'm not mad about them. I'm laughing at them because I think they're stupid. I think they're ridiculous that these people in society, this Booker guy, these other people, like, need to impose consequences on me. You must pay. As if I even care anyway. It's to the point where it's like, I'm not going to deal with extremists. And the whole thing with Gavin too, he's seen as an extremist, and maybe he is. I don't know all of Gavin McInnes, I don't know all of his opinions at all. But the whole thing is like
Gavin McInnes, and I can tell you his opinions are being hilarious. That's his whole.
It's like, take life lightly and not make it into this uptight.
Right.
And just calling things as they are, and not doing the whole I'm afraid to say this, afraid to say that, and just calling it out. And that's why I took him off Twitter, because with the midterms approaching, you can't compete when people are being so real and it's funny and it just like zing. Can't, because it's real. Yeah. It's too dangerous of a weapon. Like comedy and just pure truth bombs are too.
Yeah.
I mean,
comedy is being shut down everywhere too. I mean, like Owen Benjamin, he was banned from Twitter. A lot of comedians don't go to colleges ever anymore. it's like the college campus is a humorless place. The humor is not allowed. And I think that's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Like, I don't know if I'm going to send my 5 kids to college because
no, you should just homeschool them.
actually I am homeschooling them starting this year. Not for these reasons, but we just saw a lot of opportunities, man. And like school, what I found is school makes people dumber from what I've seen. Everything I've seen in the last 10 years, it's making people dumber.
Yeah.
We got into an argument the other day on YouTube comments from an Austin-based band. They're like
I think they were from Colorado.
No, they're an Austin band.
No kidding.
And they're called EVP or something like that, some weird letters. They're like a trance band of man and wife, husband and
trance,
wife.
not trans.
Yeah. I don't know if
Is it spelled the same?
maybe trans. I don't know. But anyway.
They're trans.
And they just started commenting on every single one of our videos saying like just these dumb comments and it just made me realize, I was reading their comments. I was just like, you know what? And we challenged them to a debate to come on a live stream like this and just talk about it because they're saying these off the wall things. I'm just like, let's just see where you're getting this information, where you're getting this idea. They're like, you support children in cages. And I'm like, okay,
what are you talking about?
I told them, I said, come on, prove that there's children in cages. And then we can go from there. And I said, if you don't accept our challenge and at least face us face to face and present your ideas, because we're willing to give them a shot, I said, if you back out, then I'm going to buy a MAGA hat and make a video about it. And it's your fault. You pushed me one step closer, and I'm going all the way. So. That's me giving the consequences back to them a little bit.
to me, I'm not on any side. I'm on the free speech zone. And to me, like, I don't know what they call it, the Overton window. I've always loved free speech, and that's pretty much all I care about as an artist. But everything, the backdrop of that has changed to where it was a left issue in the 60s. And now gradually, and now faster and faster and faster. Now all of a sudden, free speech is a right issue.
Yeah, man, we're in the same boat as you. We're in middle of the road. We were never political. We didn't even vote in the 2016 election. But I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna put down that that's just what's happening. You get pushed one way or the other, and I want to just rebellious in nature. I'm gonna just give the consequences right back to them, and it makes me want to move further to the right. Yeah. They get stupider and stupider, and they won't even, when they silence debate, and they won't even come to the table, and they're throwing accusations, and it's non-stop, just in your face. Like,
let's talk about who they is, because I would consider the alt left. I'm calling them the alt left because I don't know what else to call it, because it's not everyone in Austin. Everyone in Austin isn't that extreme. I would say Austin is more left for sure. It's like the left capital of Texas, but it's not like everyone in Austin isn't like that. So I don't want this to come off like I'm putting everyone in Austin down. I'm putting down these alt left extremists because here's the thing, like, let's talk about this. Why do they call people Nazis? Like, why?
Where did it come from? Yeah.
Well, because they call people Nazis because it's the worst thing they can think of. And they say, if we can convince everybody that you're the worst thing we can think of, then everything you say is discredited. So they plant that label as a wall to silence you out.
To shut down the conversation, which gets to the free speech thing. But also the thing is, the main reason too is because I dared to break the leftist rules of talking to people who you're not supposed to talk to, I guess, or whatever. I don't follow those freaking rules, but their rules are, if you talk to this guy who has some weird opinions, that means you have all of his weird opinions. The common trope that I've got about 50 times now is, you see it all the time, is I've got it on all my posts. It says something like, 10 people are at a table and one of them's a Nazi, then you have 10 Nazis. I reject that idea. Just hanging out with someone or I have friends with a ton of people that I disagree with. Hanging out with them doesn't by osmosis make me like conform with their opinions. That's a retarded idea. And
I think what makes it bad too is that you refuse to cave in and apologize. You were like, you know what, I'm just gonna stand up for myself, and they don't like that. They don't like it when they realize that their rejection of you isn't functioning, isn't working.
Everybody knows me in town. Even the guy, I've had people texting me that are saying, hey, have you seen what this Booker's sending everybody? He sent this to me, and he's showing me walls and walls of text. And people refuse to believe it because they know me. There's just, it's so dumb. But the whole thing is, it's unbelievable. I can't help but laugh at it because it's just, it's funny and it's sad. I mean, ultimately, it's more sad than anything else. It's just insane that this is where we're at in 2018 in Austin, Texas, and
and they're like, oh well, free speech. That's they associate that with Trump, and it's like, yeah, well, there should be limitations to free speech and what you can. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If something has limitations, it's not free, right? It's saying like free ice cream, but you have to lick my ass. It's like, what? It's not free.
I don't even care about even even the laws on the books don't even matter. I'm talking about just people in culture shutting other people up because they don't agree with them.
Yeah.
Just who cares, man? If people want to believe that the earth is flat and there's lizard people and there's whatever, and they love America and they're Western chauvinists or whatever, who freaking cares? Oh my gosh.
First world problems, right? It's like
it is first world problems. That's where we're at. It's like people really have too much time on their hands.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, the funny part is I was starting a media fast for a month right before this shit went down. So I was like, all right, I even deleted the Facebook app, deleted the Twitter app. And then I get this email from KATX. Hey, did you know that Gavin McInnes shared your song? And then
Gavin McInnes, the evil, right?
Have you watched Gavin McInnes?
He's hilarious. He's like
and the only thing they can have on him is like some joke where he was like, here's my top 10 problems with the fucking Jews. And it's like, it's a joke. He works for a Jew. He worked for a Jewish guy.
Yeah. I had heard that. Well, I was curious about that too. And no one could produce the actual video. All they have is the screenshot. The screenshot looks bad, but no one could actually produce the actual video.
Yeah, they don't need or care about the actual thing. It just like, it's about the icing. Like if this is labeled X, then it's X. That's 100%,
Here's the thing. I don't know who said this. Was it like George Orwell or Nietzsche or someone said, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And I think ideas have a lot of these extremists in Austin who are, trying to kind of go after me and run me out of town. And and here's the thing too. We're not in fucking LA. We're in Texas. So in Texas, I'm just going to say the artists, at least I'll speak for myself. I fight back. If somebody punches me in the face, I'm going to fight back. I'm not going to like cower because I'm not in LA. I've seen so many of like great artists, making the apology posts on their Instagram and they're crying and they're trying to win their fans back. Screw that. Oh my gosh. Like if I did something legitimately wrong, maybe, but especially in this instance, I didn't say or do anything wrong.
You would literally be better off if you had murdered somebody. If you had raped
I would just be a murderer then. Like no one actually like tries to go out and kill murderers, just like somebody's killed one person. But people try to go punch a Nazi all the time. So when someone's calling me a Nazi, they're actually advocating violence because most people are okay with Nazis dying. I will say I'm okay with Nazis dying. I've never seen a Nazi in my life, in real life ever.
Me neither. It's the same thing with the Unite the Right rally. The news pretended like hundreds of people came out. It was like 20 people.
There were 20 alt-right dudes. And by the way,
20 Nazis, and they're just
dumbasses. It's like nobody agrees with those. Everybody hates them.
Yeah, there were 20 alt-right dudes who were total. There's no word for how stupid they are. And then there's whatever it was, like hundreds of Antifa that come out and show up, and they're the ones getting arrested. And because these dudes, okay, these alt-right guys, the best kept secret of the alt-right dudes is they're freaking idiots. Here's the real secret. They're socialists. They want socialized healthcare. They want pretty much all the things that the left wants. The only thing is they want it just for white people, and they want bigger government. They want more government control. They want all the things that the left wants. The only difference is between the alt left and the alt right is that they want a white ethno state, which is retarded. Like, and that's why there's 20 of them.
I know.
But no one knows that. They just associate those 20 dudes with everyone else on the right and everyone else, even now on the left, because I'm not on the right. That's the thing. That's what's so amazing about this.
Like they decided for you. And that's the thing about the alt left and the alt right, they kind of overlap. They're kind of the same people. They're like, they're both racist. They're both anti-free speech. They're both like offended and everything. And it's like, you're the same people. And the difference is that I feel like on the right, like people who are more right-leaning, they discredit those people, disavow them, and say, look, those people are insane. We have nothing to do with them. But people on the left praise Antifa, and they praise the alt-left, and they praise silencing of free speech.
Well, they aren't even listed as a hate group. That's the whole thing, is everybody's sending me like, I don't know why you're talking to this guy, because look at SPLC. And everybody's SPLC. Dude, like Antifa is not even on SPLC. And I've literally watched dozens of YouTube videos of them like hitting people with a bike lock and spraying an old man with bear mace and destroying windows. They're not a hate group because they don't advocate for any, like, so you're believing them at their face value that they're actually anti-fascists. They're the ones acting fascist.
SPLC is the most discredited source for that type of thing.
Dude, that's all they credit too. These extreme left people, that's all they credit because it was good in the 60s. It was a legit thing. Now it's a racket, man. It's Southern Poverty Law Center is not impoverished, dude. They make millions on this stuff. Yeah. And I see, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus in Austin, but I see it happen in Austin too. Like there's tons of nonprofits that have these kind of social causes, but then I know people who are making like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year off of a nonprofit.
Oh shit! So
I don't know, man. It's.
And have you noticed that too? A lot of those, the feminist bands that I was referring to, a lot of those bands will actually like do this thing where they have a nonprofit show for Planned Parenthood or something like that, and it's like, why are you? And then they claim that they're punk. It's like you're supporting the #1 organization for stuff like that, and it's like, why are you? I'm so punk. I'm so rebellious. Meanwhile, you're like in line with a ideology of millions of women who think exactly the same. It's like you're not different. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy.
It's fashionable to be political right now. Everybody wants to kind of wear their colors or whatever. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And maybe the scenes that we were in kind of like overlapped a little bit. I think on where the people that we were kind of acquaintanced with that were like super, or sorry, is it in European? Can you say acquaintance?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I think I used the wrong word, but anyway.
No, you're good.
They were more neoliberal. They were more like super, super leftist. Where I would play a show, these girls would come up to me and say, "Oh, I love what you're doing. I love what you," and I go, "Oh, thanks." And then they'd start talking about feminism, like, "Oh, I love that you're doing this for fellow women and all that stuff." And I was like, "I'm not playing music for feminism." And they'd be like, "What? Like, what do you mean you're not doing that?" And they'd be like in shock. It's like, no, I'm doing this because I happen to be a woman and I like playing music, and it doesn't have to be a political issue that I'm on the stage playing my keyboard. It's because I like it, and I don't want you to like me because of my gender. I want you to like me because of what I'm playing. And that's like that's to take what gender you have and decide from that whether you're good or not.
Yeah,
that's actual equality, not equality of outcome, is what they're asking for.
Exactly. And I mean, that's where the lines get really blurry is when, it's just so much focus is placed on what sex you are, what race you are, and we hear it constantly. And it's the media's fault. That's why these people are.
Yeah.
It's the legacy media repeats this on an everyday basis, and any chance to point out race, they take it. Any chance to point out men and women, they take it. And and it's just so obvious to me how commercialized it is, because you go down every product in the grocery store, you look at it and say, oh, this one empowers women. This one, it's like, what?
Thanks, Oreos. Thanks for empowering women, Oreos.
It's so dumb, and it's just like, and that's rebellious or something. It's like, that's not rebellious. It's like
these multi-million-dollar companies.
It's freaking marketing. It's just marketing, and that's how that's how a lot of the clubs get big down here. Is they use that whole thing as a marketing ploy, and I just don't buy it, especially like seeing so many of my friends get blackballed for no reason and just get accused of being anti-feminist and all this stuff. It's just out of hand. They don't realize that their whole cause has been co-opted by authoritarians, and they'll realize it eventually, but it's just hopefully sooner than later.
Exactly, and it becomes authoritarian in essence when you create a state where something is forbidden to be criticized, like
in our speech is always the answer. More speech and more conversation is always
in our view. One thing that got us into trouble is that she criticized feminist bands, basically saying that they suck and that they were using their ideology as a means to exist, a means to sell records, and it was just like this lousy punk music. Anyway, she said it, and then people responded. Their defense against what she said is, Matthew Melton's violent towards women. He's a sexist misogynist.
No, that's what's funny, dude. My wife has got me in trouble so many times, and so she'll say something, and then people attack me for what she said. And these are these extreme left people. These alt left people will go after me because of what my wife said.
Okay, no, that's not
sexist. They support women so much, they're gonna attack me. Not.
Well, let me say something real quick. Like that accusation in and of itself, saying like, oh, that the wife's husband is responsible for how the wife acts. That's sexist.
That is actual sexism.
I know. That's the assumption that men are evil. And actually, like, what do you think Matthew does to me when we're like off camera? He shows me pictures of Hitler or something.
Well, my wife stays at home, and we have friends over all the time. I always invite my friends over to have dinner, and it's always awesome, and they always love it. But I have friends that they don't really get me because I have this kind of modern lifestyle where I do graphic design, I make weird psychedelic style music and do all this, and then I'm at home, and then I've got 5 kids. I've got 3 kids and twins on the way, all girls. And then my wife's a stay-at-home mom, and they can't conceive that people would actually want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, to them, my wife is so oppressed. She's so.
What is that? What if that's what she wants?
What my wife is doing is the ultimate version of feminism. She's completely embracing her femininity. She's the most feminine human that I know, and that's what I love about her.
That's like second wave feminism. I think now we're on
right. It's 3rd or 4th or 5th wave feminism by now. Yeah.
What a weird thing to think too. It's like that woman wants to have a fun life where she's with her kids and not be in an office cubicle with an angry boss telling her what to do for very little money. Shame on that oppressed, internalized misogyny woman.
Yeah. That's the whole other thing too. Is it's the whole thing with, I've had a lot of people say like, do you know Proud Boys are racist? And I say, well, I don't know, but look, according to all the things that I've seen, there are black dudes in it, there's Mexican dudes in it, there's like gay guys in it.
Yeah.
And they explain it this other way around where it's just saying, well, it's hard to believe, I know, but they're actually such thing as a black white supremacist, and they actually hate themselves and are serving their master. Like an Uncle Tom kind of thing. It's that idea in and of itself is so racist. It's so actually racist.
And the people with those opinions are always middle-aged white men. It's like, shut up. Let the black person have their own opinion. Let the woman who wants to be a stay-at-home wife have her own opinion. The fucked up thing is, to me, is that when we said the things that we said, I've never experienced the sheer amount of xenophobia and sexism in my entire life from leftists, from neoliberals. They're
the intolerant people, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, you just interrupted her, man. That's
Sorry.
check your privilege.
Oh, there's been girls like that too. Like, where you can't even have a discussion with them when they say, like, you're interrupting me. But, like, the stuff that they've said to me, like, you should have died in Bosnia. Here's one.
Are you serious? No.
People said that I should have died. People say that I should kill myself. Then people said, just recently, maybe like a week ago, somebody called me a right-wing Jew. What the fuck does that mean?
Dude, these people,
out there now.
these extremists they're the exact people who they hate. They are those people.
Yeah.
He's calling you.
They called me a Jew like it was a bad thing.
Okay, we got a comment from Cass98. But how do we solve this? Good question. I think we're
gotta fight the man, dude.
People are center or to the right in that zone of the Overton, whatchamacallit. We got to reach our hand out because it's not going to come from the other side. So we have to be the ones to say, okay, come back over a little bit. Let's just inch you nice and slowly this way, and just be realistic and actually use your brain, because I feel like we're getting so indoctrinated. So I feel like it's going to have to be some love coming from the center or the right, and so we need to start like a hug a lefty campaign or something.
Hashtag hug a lefty.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, a lot of the peeps that are
man, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I feel like they are the more damaged of the two, because they don't have the confidence to stop and go, what does that really mean, and think about it and be like, what am I saying? Because if you really stop and said that, it makes me think of how Candace Owens was eating at the restaurant the other day, and the Antifa people are screaming. This group of
a bunch of young white people yelling at a black lady.
Saying like racist, fascist, and kicking her out of the restaurant.
Calling her a white supremacist.
It was like a scene from the segregation era where you're ousting the person out. It's like, wow. What?
Yeah.
How are we going to solve this? It's a great question. What do you think? How do we mend this insanity?
Man, I don't know, but I feel like it starts with there's some big power structures that need to be talked about, and those things are at least for me, what I'm seeing in Austin. Are we talking about Austin, the whole world? I don't think we could solve the whole world. We could start with.
Oh, let's go United States. Let's go U.S.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the love piece, for sure, man. And that's something I need to hear, because I'm in like punch back mode right now, big time. So it's something that I need to hear for sure. I've got people writing. I've got journalists writing articles about me that are insanely ridiculous.
Right, because they have to make you. They can't let you stay in the gray area. You have to be the bad guy, or else. Because the thing is that they're so on the offensive that if you're not 100% the bad guy, then they can't, because they're so anti-Nazi that if they run out of Nazis, then they have nothing to stand for. So they have to create them out of people like you.
Yeah. I'm the supply that meets their demand for, or the other way around, one of those. But yeah, that's the thing. Is my thing is like, journalism needs to be a legit thing again, not just these freaking smear campaigns and stuff. Journalism, and all I know is really what's going on in Austin. I can't really speak to the whole country, but for me, I've been screwed with journalism's bookers and the radio industry, and for me to question those things it's the golden calf. So no one wants to question those things because it could mean their music career. And for me, it's like, somebody's got to say it. I have these conversations with people all the time. A lot of people agree with me and you. and no one's talking about it because they don't want to lose their gig. So if I'm already going to be like accused of everything anyway, I might as well just be the only one saying stating the obvious. And the Austin scene is dying, man. I've had friends that move from here all the time, and they're leaving because they know it's dead and it's rotting. And I think it's this kind of left extremism that's running people out of town, at least from what I've seen from you guys and several other bands. And then even just the pay, like the way that everything's structured. And I'm not advocating that there be like a mandatory living wage for artists, but I think artists need to step it up. Artists need to step it up, put on better shows, make better music, and charge an actual guarantee instead of playing shows for $50 and $100. And so, yeah, I just, there's a lot of like practical things like that I could recommend. I don't like to play. I don't even want to play shows in Austin right now. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. It's just there's no way that I can make a living playing shows in Austin.
Yeah. And they're focusing so much too on what gender and what skin color you have. Like you'll see a lot of those articles on what was it called, Pitchfork and stuff, or New York Times even will report on the music scene, and they'll be like, oh yeah, the indie music scene is dominated by white men, and we need to book more female bands. And it's like, wait a minute, so you're booking female bands just because of their gender? So you're choosing deliberately.
That's actual sexism.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And it's like these girl bands, sorry, but and I know that their feelings are going to be hurt, but they're really awful. Like they do not know how to play their instruments. It'll be like do 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 do, just like the whole song, and it's like, you're not a bassist. If you play one note on the bass guitar, here, if I could.
Well, it's cool. To each their own. I think I like.
Yeah, to each their own. If you want to listen to bad music, you can. Here, she's going to start a feminist band right now.
Yeah, okay, so here, it'll be like, I don't play the bass, but you're not required to play the bass to be in a feminist band. So it's just like, fuck men!
Yeah.
Suck! And abortion!
Well,
it's like,
I'll buy the record. I'll buy 2 copies because we got to empower you.
It's like, wait a minute, you call yourself a bassist, but you played one note the whole time.
Well, I'm gonna respectfully, at least partially disagree. As someone who sucks at a lot of instruments, I fake a lot of instruments, and I have respect for people who get on stage and play one note and say stupid shit, because I think that's the essence of punk. But what you're talking about, though, is there's a double standard that you're talking about. I went on stage and played one note over and over again and said, fuck women.
They would
like, dude, it would be an explosion. So to me, it's a double standard. I get the whole like historical argument of whatever, but also I don't buy the whole like, I don't buy the whole I'm not responsible for my grandfather and my father and all that stuff anyway. And then also it's kind of ridiculous to assume that my
I like the strength
was responsible for some kind of oppression automatically. That's retarded.
Well, I like the strength in what you've done with Welcome to Flat Earth, because you basically are saying, hey, I'm not saying I represent anything. I'm here making music.
Yeah, reflecting.
Take it as instead of being like, this is what I stand for. My ideals are on the front page, and this is what I represent. And if you represent this, then you have to support me. So it turns it into a weird thing. And
that's kind of what I was saying too about like feminist bands when they play one note. I wasn't saying like you have to be super duper good to be in a good band, but more of like the attitude that comes with it, where they play one note and then they go, I have to be respected more. They'll be in interviews, they'll be like, yeah, these all these men are being more than me, and it's like, I'm wondering why. And it's like,
you're saying the whole selling point of all the music is political ideology.
Yeah,
and that is dumb. Like, why would you make
music if your only message is resistance and politics? And nobody ever knew that I was from Bosnia. Like that was a secret. I never talked about that prior to that interview. And people thought I was just an American, you know, until I said, hey, well, you realize you're getting angry at somebody who's a refugee.
Yeah. Tell some of your story, because I don't, you know.
Well, things got, once that information came into the circuit, it kind of scrambled their
which information exactly?
Well, that she was a refugee from Bosnia who immigrated to the Netherlands, had her house bombed, and then, you know, we met while my band was on tour and live happily ever after. But, you know, once it was like, wait a minute, she's a refugee immigrant, it was like, boop, 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 you know.
Does not compute.
Yeah, things got really weird. And it was weird because they either went silent on their attacks, like you're getting all these attacks on the articles and things. You see, like either it was a silence or it was this thing where they doubled down and said, well, you should have perished in that war for the things you said. And it's like, what the hell?
People that know us, that know that we're not bad people. And the weird thing is that these girls,
people who knew you personally said that stuff about you.
Yeah, people who know us personally, and just people who in the music Austin scene who. Austin music scene, who just didn't like, even before the interview, they didn't like that we were married and that we were actually in love and happy, you know, and we didn't really like going out to drink, and we just only really went out when we were playing a show or to check out a friend's band or something. And then they'd be upset when we wouldn't go and to get super duper drunk with them, and like so we kind of like rejected their ways or something by saying like, oh no, we want to go home, we're gonna go to sleep or something like that.
How dare you?
So they took that out, that I think they observed that we already had a conservative lifestyle, and they were kind of noticed that, and then when the interview happened, they got the chance to let it all out.
Yeah.
And girls would say this awful stuff like, oh, Doris has an accent, and that must mean that she doesn't understand what she's saying, and Matthew's pumping this information into her dumb brain.
Oh my God, that's so sexist.
Your logic. Yeah, that's so crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
dude,
and then
you don't even know half of it. I mean, because you just kind of nudged up against some ideas, but we basically came out and said we're for enforced immigration law. Well, they asked me about South by Southwest. They say South by Southwest is threatening to deport these innocent musicians who just want to play shows, when they had actually signed a contract to agree to only play their main thing. But it's like, and basically in the thing I said, just be cool and shut up and play whatever fucking shows you want.
Yeah, and if you get deported, then so be it. You know.
Well, that's what everybody does. They're not going to deport you.
Yeah, they're not going to focus.
You know, it's like they're like, oh, but it's like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, and people in Oakland, because we lived in Oakland, and Matthew lived in Oakland for like almost 10 years, right? And these people in Oakland were saying all this stuff that had nothing to do with what we said. Just like straight up lying about us, saying that he stole a guitar, which never happened, saying that he's a psychopath. And then this one dude was like, yeah, I wanted Matthew Melton dead before he even started Bare Wires. And it's like, okay, so you're hating on his politics, but you admitted that you just like have always had a personal hang up with the guy. Yeah, it's just so mind-blowing.
Every ex-bandmate, everybody who I'd ever pushed on a little bit, you know, or, you know, kicked out of a band, it was like their chance to settle the score. But even more fascinating was that people who were our good friends, especially those who were closest to us, you know, and like we had I'd recorded their band or mastered their album or played a show with or homies with, they had to say something, because everybody was waiting for them to disavow us. The same way with you, you know. It's like wait a minute,
it's one by one happening.
It's like he didn't say anything yet. Let's hear it, man. You know, what side are you on? You know, and people.
I would never disavow anything. That's the lamest word in the world. I've never even said the word disavow. Like disavow, what does that even mean?
I know, yeah.
Hey, we got in the comments, South Dakota Sellers. How would Johnny Cash do in 2018?
He would still be doing this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you would be in jail for being a misogynist and a racist, and probably they'd find some. Oh, what did he mean by that? It's like,
Yeah.
Dude, what you're talking about is the ultimate virtue signaling that I've ever heard of, where it's like even your good friends feel like they need to say something because that will make them look good.
oh, especially them.
Especially them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Let me
surprised.
break it down for you like this. It was a polarization of the people that knew us the best on one side. They were required by the social law to come out and say something to disavow us. Like even a drummer that I toured with in my old band Warm Soda came out and was like, yeah, he ripped me off of the tour money on tour when I paid every one of my band members the same equal cut.
Yeah.
Just, cash on the barrelhead, myself included, 4 stacks. You know what I'm saying? And everybody in that band knew it. And he just outright lied. And I really pride myself and have always been a fair band leader, fair band member, and cutting the cash equally, because I figure, hey, we're all out there. I can't do it without one of you. So it's equal. We're in this together, pirate style. We each get a cut of the treasure. So there were people like that knew me very well. They knew I wasn't racist or XYZ. But then there were also people who I've never met in my entire life. This other fascinating social phenomenon. These people who I did not have ever seen before come out and say things as if they knew me and had a story to demonize me so they could have some content to post on their, say, Facebook. We had people sending us this stuff because we had homies who wouldn't speak up but were on our side. So it was really interesting. Like, for instance, I had girls.
I've got a lot of dudes.
Yeah, girls who I had never met or seen before say like, yeah, I went on a date with him once and I knew he was a really bad guy. And I'm thinking like, oh my God. What? How fascinating is that? Because it's like they hate me and they won't, but yet they're trying to prove that they were associated with me, which was a complete fabrication. It's like really interesting. I think there are psychological conditions that aren't on the books that have developed through social media. And that's the thing. Our album, The Illusion, was all about social media and how it creates an illusion of this other world, which is warping reality. And look, it's totally warped. Just take a look at it.
It was so funny. The lady who said that, it was actually multiple girls that he had never met, neither of us had ever known. It was this like single mom in Mississippi said like, yeah, I dated Matthew Melton 15 years ago. It's like, what?
Right.
Who are you? Oh,
have you ever been to Mississippi?
Some weird feminist, and
just to have something to say, just so she could get the social brownie points to be like, good job. You don't like the bad guy.
These people are ideologically possessed by something. They're possessed by that. It's kind of like a giant cult almost. I don't know how giant or how small or how big it is, but it seems
you're playing it safe. You're in the center, right?
Yeah.
It happened to you this week, right? Days ago. So I predict you're going to move further to the right. I believe you're going to be campaigning for Donald Trump in 2020. Just wait. Just
I don't even believe in left and right. I just have my cherry picked opinions where I'm just I don't subscribe to a platform, but I
know you don't, but just you wait till they start turning the heat up on you. Wait till you start getting spit at in public. Wait till you start getting your water knocked over at the restaurant. Just wait. You'll be.
Did that happen to you?
Oh, we've had a bunch of different stuff. Yeah. But the funny thing is most of the time, the people who would talk all this shit on us online, and we had our homies sending us screenshots because we've never been on Facebook. We're not on Facebook, but they would send us this stuff just to keep us aware of what was going on because it was so outrageous. But we'd see them in public, and they would run from us like we were Sid and Nancy. They were like terrified. They'd be like, "Oh, let's go!" and like run out the door, like we were gonna stab them or something. It's like, wow.
You're like African Americans in the 30s now.
Yeah, no,
that's where you are. Yeah, to me, man, that's ridiculous. I mean, I even got I've got several friends that are kind of keeping an eye on things for me too, because I don't even want to be involved in this thing, but it's I don't want to be on social media all the time. What are they saying about me? What are they saying about me? But I have a couple friends that like watch stuff for me, and that same Booker guy in Austin that's trying to get me blackballed. He posted to his Facebook this giant meme of, it's one of my promo shots. It's like neon promo shot of me jumping on the world, kind of like flat Earth, whatever. The whole idea of like I don't know. It's just a stupid thing. But he put a swastika over the world. And then put an anti-sign around the swastika. It was the worst meme I had ever seen. It didn't even have a point to it. It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever. It's so stupid. And then at the top, it's like hashtag banned. Hashtag get out of Austin.
That's funny. Somebody made a similar, I guess you got a meme about me around the same time.
The left can't meme. Let's just say that.
They really can't meme. They have no sense of humor on the far left. There's zero.
What said was that we said that ICE, Immigration's Custom Enforcement, was just doing their job. We were talking about immigration, illegal immigration, and enforcement and stuff. We said they're just doing their job, and they made a thing of me, some picture of me, and it had an ICE logo on it. Like I was like it was just like
an ICE badge.
Like a government badge.
So, and it's like I get like the petty whatever, and I'm a big boy, whatever. People can call me whatever the hell they want to call me. I'm not complaining or whining about that. I think it's hilarious. I think it's ridiculous.
It's funny.
But were you ever like scared for your safety?
At first it was kind of like, whoa, this is weird, because the people who we were friends with in Austin that had sung our praises for such a long time, it's a Dream Machine, they're awesome, you got to check them out. Like, we had discussions with about feminism and stuff like that, and they would say like, yeah man, feminism is kind of going out of control, it's kind of weird. And then they went like full force on saying all this awful stuff about us, and then it was kind of like, okay, so these people know where we live. They've been at our house before. They've recorded.
I know.
It's kind of
scary, man. And they're calling you Nazi, and now they want to punch a Nazi, so now they want to punch you.
Yeah, it was weird. And then
we got some death threats. We got some people saying,
serious death threats.
Yeah. People said that they were going to come and kill us.
We had some of our stuff. Our van got kind of vandalized a little bit. Some different stuff.
This one guy said that
holy crap.
He wanted to put a screwdriver through the back of our skulls and kill us. And this other guy said that he wanted to come on our faces like it was acid, so our faces would melt until we were dead.
And this is a black guy. Like, I want my African cum on their faces. It was just like, what the
what?
And then
the world did we just warp into?
My mind can't even comprehend. This is in Austin, right? This is in Austin, Texas?
Yeah, that's like some Rick and Morty level other world where things are upside down or something.
And then one person said...
the crazies, man.
Yeah. One person said about me that they're like, I would love to watch this girl get raped by a Muslim grooming gang. That's what they say about me.
Holy shit.
I have the screenshot too. I got the screenshot.
And oh my gosh, dude.
Are you against rape? Yeah, like you're saying that I need to be raped and killed because I said that feminist bands aren't necessarily super talented. I didn't like kiss their asses.
And you didn't say every single one is
I didn't say all women suck. I didn't say
the ones that you saw sucked.
Yeah.
So now you need to die.
I know, and it's like whatever team that's on, I'm not going to be on it. So all of a sudden, that MAGA hat is looking better and better. It's like, well, shit. It's just like.
Well, no, it's not that you need to die. It's actually he needs to die for what you said.
Oh, the funny thing is, I didn't say anything really. But I got the brunt of it. Well, a lot of it was people from my past who wanted to take a pot shot at me because I never gave them a reason to at any other point, and they were like, all right, let's sing him as the best as we can. He's still, I know, man.
He indoctrinated me and that he's the reason I think this way. It's like, what kind of world do we live in? If I was a psychologist and I diagnosed these people, I would put them in fucking quarantine, man. Like, they're crazy.
Yeah. Well, anyone with common sense can see where where the actual violence and the actual insanity is coming from, because it just people should do themselves a favor. Don't read any articles ever again. just watch actual YouTube footage of stuff.
Yeah.
At this point, like, I don't believe anything that's written in media. It's like I'm gonna need to go straight to the source and straight to like an actual video footage of something happen for me to believe it. And it's also amazing too. It's like I have friends. There's like one little missing piece in my story that I don't have like photographed proof of, or I don't have like documented proof of.
Mhm.
And people are calling that out as like, and saying that they don't believe my story because I don't have proof that the guy at the one at KATX that I met with said, told me that there's no way the song is going to go back up. That's kind of backing up to the story, but
Well,
because I don't have that one piece.
Yeah.
KUTX is in the right. And so people are loyal. People are super loyal to the media company, to particular media companies. And
yeah. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that song's not going back up. Like, it's the cat's out of the bag. But you really have to be hyper aware to navigate through the media and go, at this day, you need to take a class. People need to be educated on like how to decode it. Who owns that media company? What is who is
behind it?
Sourcing it? Who is funding it?
They get about 20% from federal funding, and then they say, I don't remember the exact number, but like for every $1 of funding, government funding, they get whatever it is, like $19 of local funding. But all I'm saying is, like, if you take that $1 away, they don't make any money. Like if you take that, and they're publicly funded, they're publicly funded, at least partially, and they're run, it's UT Austin's big problem. I think the bigger problem is with the university, man. We've seen this at a lot of other universities. I think that's alluding to someone else's question. How do we solve this? Dude, I think the source of a lot of these problems is at the university level. It's like you've got these like really like super Marxist style professors who are just, dude, I'm learning more about history now, and I'm freaking out about how much history that I was not taught. I went all the way through the university system, man. I was a socialist in college. I wore a sickle and hammer on my freaking shirt, and it was cool. And now that I've gone back and learned the actual history, dude, so like Soviets are way worse than Nazis even. Like Nazis are like JV. And it's like 6 million people or whatever. And then Soviets, like from like whatever it is, like we don't even know, the number is so big that they don't even know the exact thing. It's somewhere between like 40 and 70 million people died in the Soviet Union. I never knew that. No one ever told me.
Yeah, I was researching the Cold War earlier today, and my homie UVB76 TV can attest to this because we get a lot of information from him on his YouTube channel. But I was watching like a PragerU thing on the, and I mean, it's pretty much the Third World War if you look at who, the number of people who died, and obviously it didn't come to blows between the Soviet Union and the United States, but you had Korea, Vietnam, and all the stuff happening down there. But
they just did it better than the Nazis. Like, they didn't burn out like a candle like the Nazis. They did it over 40 years, and these people were in gulag work camps until they died, and the whole country was run on these slaves for like 40 years at least. I don't know the facts off the top of my head. You have to Google it for yourself, but it's just the people that run universities never taught me that. And also I would say even down to the like elementary, like high school and elementary, like my kids aren't being taught that. It's not the reason, but it's one of the reasons. It's a reason why I'm not going to have my kids in public school, because I don't want them to get this freaking skewed version of history. Like, if you're going to measure who's worse, they're all bad because they're mass murderers, but whoever has the highest body count is the worst. That's how it works.
He left out that they killed millions of people. Just like, oh yeah, just leave that out.
They've conveniently not taught me a shred of that, and I went entirely through the education system. I have a bachelor's degree, and it's just.
And there was the Cold War, and it lasted a long time, and then it became Russia.
And then Reagan put the wall down, and that was that.
Moving on to the 1960s, you know.
So I mean, I say all that to say, like, dude, freaking check your history, people. Read history for yourself. Don't believe, like, and that's another thing that my album gets to too, is like, welcome to Flat Earth. I love the idea of Flat Earth, even though it's an absurd, stupid idea. The one thing that I love about Flat Earth is it questions everything. Like it's the holy grail of conspiracy theories, because if you believe in Flat Earth, then you do not believe teachers, you do not believe scientists, you do not believe journalists, you do not. And so the whole idea is just saying that the whole idea of probably the entire record is like, how do you know who to trust? How do you know which authority? There are lots of authorities. We have parents, we have teachers, we have scientists, we have presidents, we have so many authorities. How do you know if any of these people, if you can trust any of these people?
Exactly. So at the end of the day, you have to be your own filter, and you have to say, I'm going to use my own logic and reason to filter all this stuff, and I'm going to decide for myself. And if everybody did that, if everybody really went in individual mode, then it would correct some of this ridiculous stuff we're seeing. But
right, just use your brain. I'm not telling you to believe in Flat Earth, but I'm telling you to use your brain.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I watched some of those Flat Earth videos just to devil's advocate. I'm like, all right, let's see how these present this, and it's pretty funny how they throw that out there. It's like that's a good.
Dude, they have a counter argument for every single thing you could throw at them. That's what I love about it. Is just they're relentless, and there's a counter argument for any piece of science. That
it's really funny. It's just like you can't even watch it because it's like I just can't do it. You know,
brains of conspiracy land. It's like, whoa, we really went far, man. and I love conspiracy theories. You know,
I know. I've always loved to learn about like JFK conspiracy theories and even like 9/11 conspiracy theories. I don't know why we like that. That's another thing. So free speech is now a right-wing thing. Conspiracies are now a right-wing thing. Like these aren't actual laws. These are social codes that are telling us you aren't allowed to even talk about conspiracies, and you aren't allowed to talk to the wrong people, and it just is all these rules. And what's funny is I just don't give a shit about any of those stupid social codes.
You got to go to facts and reason. There are a lot of legitimate, documented conspiracies that have taken place. I think
they were actual things.
You know, people think a conspiracy is something that's fake. It's like, no, conspiracy is something where people have conspired to do X, Y, or Z. And so it's like, people don't play by the rules. People are awful, and people are out for themselves, and people will take advantage of you. And that's the way the world is. You know, it's like not to question it is pure insanity.
And a lot of liberals also, like, you know, with InfoWars and Alex Jones getting banned, prior to when Alex Jones showed his endorsement for Donald Trump, he was just like somebody who was questioning the government and questioning like whatever the government had decided for the people to believe. And a lot of liberals liked that, a lot of anarchists like that, a lot of libertarians agreed with him, and they were like, he was changing people's minds. But as soon as he associated with Trump, that's when it was like, conspiracies are bad. And conspiracies, like, I like conspiracies because they challenge things. It's like, well, if you
have the right to talk about conspiracy theories.
And it's worth it to explore it. But I mean, and when people say you're not allowed to explore that idea, then I'm even more fucking suspicious of it.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what they would say.
Oh yeah, I can't talk about this one. Do it now. And that's why it's so funny how they're banning conservative platforms like, you know, say InfoWars, Gavin McInnes, and all these others. You know, it's like, and it booms their following. You know, and we have been.
Isn't he like? Isn't his app like number one? Someone told me that Alex Jones, after he got banned, now he's the number one app or something. They don't get like when you ban shit, it makes it more popular.
It made it so popular.
Use your brain.
Apple put it on this other page. They put it on this thing. You have to click like other apps because they were like, well, shit, we can't leave it at number one, you know, like, so they were just like swoop and made it to where it's just not as easy to get to. But yeah, it makes people wonder, why is this being silenced? You know, what did they say? Yeah,
it's the forbidden fruit. There is kind of, you talked about this earlier when we were chatting over the phone, like you were talking about, it's kind of neo-Puritans. They're saying, here are the rules, follow the rules. If this if this happens with your song Ty, then the rules are, I knew what the rules are the whole time. The thing they wanted me to write was, I disavow this, I disavow this, I disavow this, I disavow this. I just don't accept that premise, and I don't accept those social codes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like you can have different opinions, and that's in and of itself is almost like an alt-right concept. They think that's
right.
So crazy. It's like, well, Matthew and I are like, or I'm a vegan hippie who likes animals and animal rights and is against pollution, but is also against feminism and open borders. And it's like, so what the hell am I? Like, I'm definitely not all right.
It exists.
You pull the Kanye, you're off the liberal plantation.
Yeah.
Like, ladies definitely can't get off the liberal plantation.
Oh yeah.
So.
And the irony is that they seek to control women more than men because you know because they say, okay, we can control women because we just tell them that men are bad and that we're this team where everything is sexist, so we can thought control them easy, you know, because women are dumb. You know, so by their logic, they're creating the sexism that they're creating the real sexism and labeling everything else up.
They are the actual people they want to be. They are the people that they are against.
I don't know where I heard that, and maybe somebody in the comment section can correct me on this. But wasn't it a Marxist theory or a Marxist quote where Karl Marx said that the proletariat becomes the other one, and
it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
It's a balance. It's like then the other one becomes the oppressor, and that's where we're at now. It's like you can't.
Well, they call it the Marxist. Is it Marxist dilemma or something? Where there's this theory of Marxism where the workers are supposed to rise up and cause a revolution, but it never happened. That in history has never happened. So they have to do things like fascism and fascism and Soviet communism to like kind of just make the cycle keep going.
Yeah. And then communism give like the least power to the workers and the proletariats. Like they were like super oppressed. It's all about like giving power to the people, but meanwhile they have the least power and they have the least power.
Yeah, you get your one plate of gruel, and then it's like, get back to work.
It's equal outcomes for everyone, but just like Venezuela right now, like everyone is equally starving.
Yeah,
that's how it is.
You got your equality. Happy now?
No one acknowledges that capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than anything in the entire world. It's not a perfect system at all. There's no perfect system, but it's the best system that the world has ever known.
I'm gonna plug 2 of my own YouTube videos. Like we were talking earlier with the colleges, I have a video, 5 reasons to drop out, and everybody should check that one out. And then I love capitalism, and people don't like my
capitalism,
opponents.
You dirty capitalist.
It's like, what could you possibly suggest to do that would work other than that? Because at least with capitalism, everybody has a chance. You know, you can start as the groundskeeper and work your way up. You know, it's theoretically possible if you try hard enough. And that way it gives your character and your abilities and your drive and your endurance. It gives you, and kind of like Jordan Peterson says, that responsibility informs your meaning of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if there's no reason to try harder, that's why you have this, you have the socialist doom image of everybody's just in a gray existence and life is mundane and miserable and everybody's the same.
I've got a funny example of that actually. You know how in Europe they don't tip usually, or tourists will tip because they don't know that they don't tip there. But
yeah,
you live in Europe and you go to a restaurant, the servants or like the people who work there are actually less nice to you because there's no incentive. But in
They're
America, if in
Oh
America,
yeah.
restaurant, the servers are like, oh yeah, is everything okay? Can I get you anything? Because they know that they're getting the tip, and that's like the
their
capitalism.
payment is based on their merit and the quality of their job. But in
Yeah.
Europe, everybody gets the fair wage, the equal wage. But
And their
people, I've
buttholes.
never been such, because
Yeah.
they don't care about you. They're like, get the hell out of my face, like I don't I could care less. What we had, we were at some restaurant in, I think it was Amsterdam, back when we still lived there, and we ordered some food, and something happened where she was supposed to get a salad, and we're like, hey, she didn't get her salad that was supposed to come out, and they came back and they took the salad and just slammed it down on the table, and we're like,
Oh my god!
whoa, in America that would never happen. They're like the customers take out their aggressions on us, so we are angry with you, and it was just like, oh, just so angry.
Well, but because you like America, because you like living in America, that makes you a xenophobe, though. And if you compare any part of our culture to any part of any other culture, that's xenophobic, don't you know? Like, you just committed wrong speech.
I got some xenophobia for you right now. Europe, think of people who just moved to the United States from Europe. Europe sucks, and it
Are you serious?
hard, man.
What sucks about it?
Oh my god! Where do
Also,
we even start, man?
We moved there, and it got a lot worse. I moved to America. We
In the
lived there for
past
like
5 years, it's transformed
Yeah, we
like
moved-
crazy style.
5 years.
Yeah. So there was this. They built this mosque on the street that I grew up on, and we went to visit my dad. And the mosque, it was fairly new, and the imam came out, and he, out of like rebellion, he peed in the middle of the street, out of like what's the word? It was like,
I've never seen anything like it. It was like a 1300s style behavior. It was like this is my territory, and then we're walking down the street.
Oh.
Some Islamic guy. Well, he was angry with her because she didn't have on a hijab, and we were in there on their turf, and he said all this stuff, and I defended her, and he pulled out a knife on me, and it was like it was about to be a fight on the street, and she diffused it. She was like, it's cool, it's just, let's go. And we had to like run because this guy's chasing us with a knife down the street.
Holy shit, dude. I can't even believe this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And this is her neighborhood where she grew up, and now it's like you can't even.
Which city is this in?
Rotterdam. It's the south of Rotterdam, which are like
it was
known
so crazy.
as like the slumps. They're like the that's like the horrible part of Rotterdam. It's this neighborhood called Feyenoord, and basically there were like these guys shouting in Arabic, and it's like,
and they were implying like that she was a slut because you could see her hair, and that it was inappropriate, and she wasn't welcome in the neighborhood. And I said something back to him, and then it was just like knife right there.
They were ready.
You can tell if somebody is willing to stab you on the middle of the street.
Yeah,
down. And the guy was like a 55-year-old dude, and I was much taller than him.
In front of a coffee shop smoking weed.
Yeah, I know.
You'd think somebody who would like that wouldn't do that. If you smoke weed, you don't have tendencies to want to kill people. So
there's tensions like that, and kind of cut in front of you in line and be like, what?
Yeah, that's another thing. We went to Antwerp once, remember? And we went to
that's in Belgium.
Yeah, so we went to Antwerp just for fun, just to have like a fun day to check out the museums or whatnot. And the city had changed completely. I'd been there before, like 8 years before that, and it was a totally different city. Graffiti everywhere, trash everywhere. Nobody spoke Flemish. It was totally insane. And then on our way back, when we took the train back to the Netherlands, there was this lady who was in a niqab, which is like totally covered. And
with just a little eye.
And the guy in like the full skirt with the whole attire, so to speak.
Yeah.
They cut in front of us, and we were like, "Hey, man, that's not cool!" Like they just like straight up cut in front of us.
It was like, oh no, sorry, we were in line, and he was just like, this is my town now. I don't have to listen to you.
But then he walked
this aggression, like.
But so how do you know that's not? I mean, what's the difference between a dude cut in front of you in line, and there's like an overall problem with Europe?
Well, okay. So check this out. We're giving you single examples just to give you some perspective of the ennui, so to speak, of the vibe of it all. You know, but
right.
Okay, so just
well, what happened was that the
it's
one
a real
guy,
thing. It's not like we're making it up.
Yeah, the one guy cut in front of us, and then he walked away when we said something about it, and then he went to get his wife, and then they both did it again, and they just like didn't. It wasn't like a bad confrontation. It was more of like they just genuinely didn't understand that you can't cut.
Yeah, it's like a cultural difference. You know, it's a cultural. Like I just want to be in front of you in line, so I'm gonna just overtake you, you know, and like I don't even speak, I don't speak English or Dutch, so I don't even, so fuck you.
Dude, that's crazy. And see, that's the thing is like, I think in America, we're just super sheltered to the reality of the world. And then even in Austin, we're sheltered to the reality of Austin. You have people making death threats to you and doing all this stuff that's, I would say, equivalent or worse than what happened overseas.
Well, yeah, overseas it's just like there's a clash of cultures, so there's people don't understand each other, but there's other things too. Like for instance, Americans have a misconception that there is free healthcare in Europe or something, and that's just absolutely not true.
Yeah,
we lived in Amsterdam, and it was like 500 euros per month for healthcare.
And it's mandatory. You don't have the freedom to decide whether you want it or not. There's actually a law that says
you have to do it.
Up. Yeah. And so there's just a lot of differences in the large influx of migrants. If it was an influx that was steady and it was the occasional refugee, so to speak, that came in and like integrated fairly and actually like actually understood the Dutch, got a chance to understand the Dutch culture, that would be a different story. But like the migrants that are coming in now, it's like thousands and thousands all at once. So what happens is they segregate into their own groups, and you have these parts of town, for example, like Rotterdam, or the south of Rotterdam. Every single store is in Arabic. Like I don't even know what the store is. It says like something in it, or every person in the grocery store has a hijab on, and it's like it's just something that is just very it's a foreign concept. Maybe it's
and the European Union is similar to the Soviet Union in a lot of ways. You can tell it will collapse within the next 10 years, definitely. Like you can feel it. It's because there's hundreds of people in any given area that are just laying on the streets, shitting on the streets, tents, it's like you can feel it. It's like this system is about to collapse, and you see the rise of different populist leaders who are going, hey, if we want to survive, we can't take this anymore. But
so you're saying this is why Brexit happened, essentially?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And there's other countries like Hungary and Italy are all kind of saying like, whoa, because the European Union is unelected bureaucrats who are saying like Hungary.
They're not elected?
It's unelected. They're just bureaucrats who get ushered in, and they say, okay, Hungary.
How is that not authoritarian?
Take in 30,000 migrants.
There's migrant quotas that they have to abide by, and if they don't, they can actually give them like
sanctions
and fines and stuff like that.
Whoa.
There's no sovereignty for the nations. They can't decide like, okay, we'll take in this many refugees and we'll have a program like this. But it's like they take in thousands of them, and then
in a nutshell, the European Union will fall apart within 10 years, guaranteed. It's just it's totally insane. But we lived in Amsterdam, and the reason why it sucked was, number one, taxes. 22% tax on everything.
That's sales tax, but actually income tax.
22% sales tax?
Yeah, 22% sales tax. So we're talking about you buy whatever. Cha-ching. So it's expensive.
It used to be 19%, and the income tax, depending on what bracket you're in, is around 33% or more. So, for example, if you take my mom, who's a social worker, she gets she gets 33% tax every month on her paycheck. So she would be making 3,000 euros a month, but she makes 2,000 because they take $1,000 in tax, and that doesn't even cover healthcare or any of the
Yeah, you don't get
so-called
free
benefits.
healthcare. Yeah, people say like, "Oh, in Europe they have free healthcare."
Doesn't exist.
And
Yeah,
it's like that's just not true. We
And-
live there, and it was
No
like
free
you
lunch.
have to buy healthcare. You
and
know?
not
it's
to
like,
mention the healthcare, because it's mandatory and because it's something that everybody has anyways. The doctors suck. Like they'll be like, you'll go into the doctor's office and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, just take like aspirin and it'll go away." Or people get untreated and they have like all these weird, or they give you they're super quick to prescribe you way too many drugs because they know that they're going to get money from the government for it. And
Yeah.
it's just so crazy.
it's a mess, and it just is kind of a drag. You know, it's just
I care a lot about free speech and about freedom of expression. I've consulted with 20 different artists here in Austin, but I mean, what is the situation of free speech in Europe versus here?
it's absolutely regulated by the European Union and just the various bodies, governmental bodies. Like
Yeah.
for instance, in to use their example, what happened in Britain with Tommy Robinson, he shows up to whether you agree with him or not.
To report on a grooming gang.
Oh yeah.
There were Muslim grooming gangs that were raping.
Which are rapists.
Yeah,
I hate that they're calling grooming gangs. Like,
Yeah,
what does that even
it means that they rape children, and he was showing up to document it, and he didn't even influence the case. They just put him in jail. They put him in. So it's like,
or in the Netherlands,
that's pretty crazy.
If you tweet in the Netherlands, there was this guy who was a teacher in the Netherlands, and he tweeted that he tweeted that he was talking about the 9/11 attacks on the 9/11 anniversary, and and the Muslim kids, it was a Muslim majority classroom of kids, and they were cheering on for it. And he was trying to tell them like how horrible it was and how terrible all these people died. And they were like contradicting the teacher and saying like, "No, this was awesome. This is great." And they were celebrating it.
Yeah.
Teacher tweeted about it publicly and it got shared, and then the police showed up on his doorstep and saying like, "Hey, you're not allowed to say that. Like you really have to remove your Twitter. Like you're not allowed to expose."
So the police can go after you for a
The
Twitter.
police actually came at his door.
That happens all the time, and it's squelched in the media.
So
They do a blackout on it.
Yeah.
So with all these other people saying inappropriate things on Twitter that are getting banned, like McInnes and Alex Jones, is that in that direction? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I mean, America is a fantasy land where everything's gingerbread houses and lollipop trees compared to Europe. Europe is like the end of the Soviet Union, is the way it feels to live over there. Everything's gray.
Yeah.
People are, angry. There's so much tension. It's going down in flames.
I've got a couple friends though. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but just because I'm curious, I have friends that live in Spain, like Valencia, Spain, and some other places, and they seem to love it.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. I'm sure that's for some. If they're American, I'm sure that's like
It's
a dream to live in Europe because they're just romanticized.
you can't. I'm not saying you can't have a good time there.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
will the sovereignty of that union collapse? Absolutely. I mean, you can take it to the bank. It's falling apart. I mean, just look how part of Catalonia wanted to break away from Spain, and they used the bureaucratic systems and power to squelch that because they didn't want the governing of the Spanish government. So they're just sitting there, just fuming, right? Because you say this is a people, this is a entity. They have their own leadership, and they're saying, nope, you're not your own country. You're controlled by us. And the next onion layer up, the European Union bureaucrats who you have no power to elect. You have no, you can't
Most
cast
people
a
don't even know
vote.
who they are.
Yeah, people, you ask them who decide. Nobody even knows. It's just these people behind a curtain somewhere. It's really
And it's subjective. I'm sure that people who live in different countries in Europe, like, don't really take in consideration some things, or they don't know about it or something, and they just don't mind. And it's different situations for everybody, But for somebody like, for example, with me, who's lived in the Netherlands for so long, and then coming back and seeing it completely different, then it's like, whoa,
Yeah. So did you learn these things and develop these views before or after all this stuff went down and
Well, the thing
in Austin?
Because
when did all that go down? Was that was South by 2017 or 18?
So here's what happened. We had planned to move to Europe, and then we gave that interview, and in the controversial interview that led to the controversy surrounding Dream Machine, we announced that, hey, we're moving to Europe because we're sick of Austin, we're sick of the political correctness, we want to move to Amsterdam, and we were 100% sure it was going to be cool, right? So we moved over there, we shipped everything we owned to Europe, and we got there, and it's this dystopian nightmare. Not get put in a light, like, and I just want to respond real quick to
let's talk to some people.
Let me just respond to Fugandi official real quick. I'm not saying you can't go there and enjoy all the stuff that's there. You know,
yeah, there's cool stuff to see. Definitely,
you can have a blast there on a weekend, but it's the living there stuff that's a nightmare. You know, and the ability to vote on your leaders and things like that is a little bit wacky. I mean, the Netherlands is a monarchy. You know, they have a king and queen, and then this different party system, and it's really. You know, it makes America look real good by comparison. It's like, wow, you can tip the scales over here. But
there's good and bad things about all places, but yeah, this is definitely like for a lot of authoritarian rules that they have over there. Like when I came over there, there was this lady who was like knocking on our door constantly because she wanted to check whether I got a college degree. And it was like one of those things that are like, the government has so much impact on the citizens. And I don't know, it was just.
It feels like socialism. You know, somebody from the government knocking on your door to make sure that you're in school.
To make sure that you tweet the right thing out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that. Dude, I'm out. That's and I'm not even involved. I'm like kind of doing some tweets now, but up until last week, I had 100 followers on Twitter, and I never tweet anything that was on my Twitter was just blasted from something else on my Facebook.
We're not on Twitter either.
I think the internet's as a web developer who makes stuff on the internet all the time, I think the internet's kind of stupid. The whole thing. It's psychologically fucking people up in a crazy way. It's deranging people. I don't know, man.
If you think about it too, it's like, would people be really this divided if it wasn't for the news and the internet and social media? It's like,
my thing is, I don't mind hearing about someone that outs their biases up front.
Yeah.
And to me, I think the goal of the far left is not to have this story where the left wins and the right loses. To me, what I've gathered is the overall goal is for the media. The left media is the media.
Yeah.
And the left, there's no such thing as left academia and right academia. There's just academia.
Yeah.
And so it's all in the same. And so to me, I just, these institutions need to be seriously questioned and seriously restructured, in my opinion. I'm not afraid of what I'm more afraid of is like cultural forces. Like cultural authorities are a bigger deal, like Hollywood, movies, shows, academia, music, culture. The culture is really what I care about. I don't really freaking care who's president. I pretty much hated every president, probably. I don't know. It's just like, to me, I'm more concerned with who's teaching my freaking kids.
Right. And the people who are teaching your kids are the sons and daughters of all the acid burnt hippies from the 60s. And but the thing is those institutions, it matters because those institutions are owned, controlled, funded, etc. by partisan groups, you know, so you have to realize like there are people moving the chess pieces in those foundations and, you know, in the different organizations.
Yeah. I think the right needs the left. I think we need both of them. And it's just, at least on a cultural perspective in Austin, it is, the pendulum is too far the other way. I think there just needs to be kind of a counter. It's just gone too far. Even before all this stuff, I'm just, constantly called just kind of nonchalantly for what I would consider no reason, just being called a white privileged male, and people explaining to me, and like I haven't heard it before. I've heard it for fucking 10 years that you need to understand, Ty, you're a white privileged male. It used to be just white privilege, and the new thing is white privileged male. People don't realize how fucking racist they sound when they say that. Like they think, oh, the whole case is an oppressed class can't be it's impossible for them to be racist against an oppressor class or whatever. And and they play this whole oppressor game, and they love to make infants out of everyone. They've infantilized everyone. They love to infantilize women. They love to infantilize people of color. They love to infantilize these people. And they love to infantilize LGBT people. These people can think for their fucking self. You don't have to coddle them. They're like, all the people that I know in Austin are legit people that they don't need someone to. It seems like it's like going full circle and becoming bigoted because you're saying, oh, you're a woman. Let me treat you so good. Oh, I'll do it for you.
Let me
like what the
your race and gender first before I think about who you are. Let's look at race and gender. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, now I've got you in my little box. Now what? What do you want? It's like what?
It's actual bigotry to treat actual adults like they're infants. That is what true bigotry and true racism and true sexism is.
But if you say that, you're a Nazi, and now we're
right.
And now everything you say is discredited because you didn't swallow the golden lies that they give. The ones where you can't question this. So that's where we're at, man. And you know what? I wish you the best of luck because you are in for some interesting times ahead of you, my man. Because
probably even after this interview, man. We're just two like basically liberal musicians that have some wrong opinions that make us
evil,
totally in the wrong and evil now. It's just
And if you present these counter arguments, like, for example, white people, I hate that there's like such a horrible connotation with white people, like we're this evil force like, oppressing the whole world, and if only white people didn't exist, right? But anyways, like the white people on the global population, a global scale, they're actually a minority is the funny thing. White people are like, what, 15% or something? Can somebody fact check that in the comments? I'm sure it's like
in America, I don't know. I mean, but that's the whole thing. Is like when you say white people, you're also being racist because you're lumping in Italians, Irish people, Scottish people, English people. You're lumping in everyone who has a certain skin color.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about?
You're making yourself into a bigot. It's like anyone who argues that is the bigot that they want to find.
Yeah.
Like you found them. Look in the freaking mirror, idiot.
And it's so weird because like it's all their reasoning, if I understand correctly, and if there's liberals who hate us are watching, please correct me if I'm wrong. But if I understand correctly, their logic is because a very small amount of white people hundreds of years ago had slaves, all of white people that are alive today that might not even have anything to do with that slavery must be punished for something that they might not even be connected to, like in their lineage, and that the decision is solely based on their skin color. Secondly, a lot of white people were enslaved too. There were Irish slaves, there were Bosnian slaves, Serbian, Croat slaves. There were slaves of all colors, and third of all, a lot of the slaves that were coming to America, they were sold by black slave owners. Why does nobody talk about that?
And let's just be real for a second. Slavery still exists today. I mean, just
it's weird.
Well,
Yeah.
just look
There
at
are
Apple.
child sex slaves in America right now.
Just look at Apple.
Yeah.
They're going to
No
dox.
one cares about them, dude. No one talks about child sex slaves. Only Ashton Kutcher, and he's blacklisted from everything too. It's just like,
Well, and just, you know, even on a level of, you know, Apple, how they use the, you know, in China, their factories have, you know, the factories of Apple in China are like slave-like conditions for low wages. They have suicide nets out the window, so the people assembling the Apple computers don't jump out and just say, "Fuck this, I'm just done with life." You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I mean, there's still issues facing us today that are, you know, clear and present.
And in the Philippines too, there's still slavery going on.
Well-
Real law. It's in Sharia law. It's a lot.
the whole argument, I mean, it's just an identity politics argument. It's saying your skin's this color, so that means you enslaved people, and my skin's this color, so I was enslaved. And the whole thing is that whole idea sparked the alt-right, the alt-right, the 20 dudes that showed up on Saturday to have their alt-right you know, party or whatever stupid shit that was. Like those dudes, their response is it mirrors that side. They're saying, okay, maybe my ancestors did enslave people, but we also did all this stuff too, and we you know, and they just basically play the same exact game but from the other angle, and they believe in identity politics too.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they're
And I
playing
can just
the same exact game. Extremists are all authoritarians, and they're all you know, yeah, they all basically want the same thing. They all want big government that controls everything. Just, you know, one side wants them for one race and one side wants them for other races.
yeah. And it's so funny because if somebody was like some neoliberal was watching this right now, they'd be like, yeah, a bunch of white people talking about the struggles.
Yeah, they're so white. I can see the comments right now. This conversation is the definition of white privileged.
I know, white males
Oh, yeah.
discussing other people's oppression. What a bunch of assholes. Like, it's just like,
Dude, everyone, life is hard. We all freaking die at the end.
yeah,
We're all gonna freaking die, and life is hard for everybody. You don't own suffering. Sorry, like no one owns suffering because everybody suffers.
yeah, your suffering shouldn't define who you are. It's like, you suffered 80% of your life, so you're 80%, we're going to pander to you that much, but this other person suffered a little bit less than you, so you're not quite as important. It's like, how is suffering, I get why, you know, there's artists who have suffered throughout their lives, and there's people who've written books and stuff, and that have had a difficult life. Like, I don't know, even George Orwell he died of tuberculosis. His life wasn't, but he didn't write, my life is difficult, please buy my books because they're pathetic. It's like, that's not how it works, and it shouldn't work like that. And a lot of Black people, and people are gonna freak out for me saying this, but a lot of Black people had a way easier life than I did, a white girl. Yeah, believe it or not, I got my house bombed. I had, most of my family is dead because of that war, and that has made a lot of problems for everybody, involving my family and involving Bosnia and that whole conflict. And people are gonna, and it's like, yeah, it's the truth. Some Black people live a great life in America, and it's not because they're Black that their life is more difficult. And because I don't want to, and I hate having to say that, because I don't want that war to define me. I don't want people to see Doris Melton and say, oh, she's that Bosnian refugee. I don't want that. I don't want people to look at Black people and go, oh, they're a Black woman. We have to.
You should listen to her music. Her music's awesome because she's in a war.
I know. Yeah, I think, going back to what you were saying earlier, Ty, how it's really, you know, focusing on what is happening culturally. I feel like if you were to pick what's the root, and it's that we reward people, not us, but we as a society reward people based on how big of a victim they can prove themselves to be. So what is encouraging people to strive and do better and to overcome their oppression, their situations, when you're rewarded if you're a victim?
Yeah.
If you're victimized, you get XYZ, you know what I mean?
To me, I mean, the root of all this stuff is like people got to learn to think for themselves,
Yeah.
and they've got to learn to take everything with a grain of salt. I don't even trust what my parents tell me fully. I mean, it just take everything with a grain of salt. Never 100% agree with something. Like don't have a loyalty to a particular, a particular news outlet or something. It's just be willing to talk to anyone. Be willing to talk to people who disagree with you. And also, this is just because to me, like, I don't know a lot about politics. I know a lot about what I do and what I want to do. I want to make art, and I want anyone to be able to make art. I've consulted like 20 different artists in Austin, and a lot of what happens is like, I don't know, like this song was picked up, but this whole record was picked up by 90 different stations. The last album was picked up by probably 80 or 90 stations.
That's awesome.
The first record made it to like number 39 on the NAC 200. I've like been able to do a lot of things with my career with music. This one charted on the North American charts. I don't remember the number that it got up to, but I've had a lot of people that like want to duplicate what I've done. They obviously don't want to duplicate what I've done this last week because I blew shit up. But at the same time, I spent 2 years like working with artists though, like say, here's my to-do list, here's what I'm doing, try to do these things. But to me, like the common denominator between all of it is artists don't have the freedom to write about anything here. You can write about feminism, you can write about multiculturalism, you can write about all these particular things that are on the left that are okay. If you even write something even remotely center, it's not supported. And so that's kind of my thing is like KUTX and these other venues, they only support they are their own echo chamber, and they only support things that are pretty far left. And there's even my music isn't right or left, but the idea that it could possibly be right, you got to shut it down.
The idea enough, yeah. Because God forbid that they let somebody who had a center to right opinion, because if they let you do that, then you must turn out to be a serial killer and who's going to go after all the minorities in Austin. And like, what do you think is going to happen if you're a right wing? Like, what idea do they have?
No, here's the idea. It's the same. It's that neo. What do you call it? It's like neo church lady, basically. It's like Tipper Gore. It's like Tipper Gore from the '80s and Frank Zappa. And Tipper Gore wants to put. She didn't want to just put a sticker on the albums. That's what they settled for. She wanted to put them in a bag like a Playboy. She wanted to put albums in a Playboy. How are you going to pick out a record if you can't even see the record?
See the edge.
This is a ridiculous mentality, and this is the same thing as if you play violent video games, then you're going to become a mass shooter.
Okay.
If you listen to Ty Richards' music, you're going to turn into a Nazi.
Ty, gonna kill
we got coming in here on the chat lines. We got South Dakota Sellers asking Ty, how is your song doing on iTunes?
Honestly, that's one of the few things that I haven't checked. I haven't checked the stats on that. It's hard. It's actually hard to check iTunes stats because they come in quarterly, I think.
Give it a week, yeah.
So I'll let you know in 2 or 3 months. It's doing all right on Spotify. I'm not doing this for the gain of it because the gain really isn't even that much. Like,
well, that's what
I sold like freaking 15 records or something. It's not even anything to write home about.
That's what they're going to accuse you of, because they have to attack your motives, because just be a human being having ideas and exploring ideas. No. That's far too innocent. You had to have devious motives. You had to have greedy motives, because you can't be a good person.
Did you read the article? Did you read the article that was like Ty Richards milking the alt-right?
I know.
To be more famous. And I'm just like...
milking the alt-right?
It was super... people talk about conspiracies. That was the most conspiratorial thing I've ever read.
I
had this plot.
Milking the flat earthers.
I had this plot to make KUTX lie to me and fall into my trap.
It's so crazy, because watching the stuff that was said about you and to you, it's like the same identical stuff that happened to us. Like, yeah, Matthew and Doris, they did a publicity stunt for the alt-right so they could sell to their new Trump supporters.
It was all
to sell to the 20 guys who were out on that lawn last Saturday.
I know, yeah.
They just want to service to people who watch Fox News. Blah blah blah. It's like
Fox News publicity stunt. It's like, what are you? So if you go on Fox,
they watch too much news, dude. They watch too much news. Sorry, I totally interrupted you. Finish your
no,
sentence.
you're fine. You're fine. I mean, this like even going on Fox News alone, being invited by Greg Gutfeld was enough to make them go, oh yeah, Fox News. So the evil Trump supporters who
pandering to the right.
Yeah.
the funky thing about it is all of that insanity, all that vitriol, all that intensity from the left is what got Donald Trump elected in the first place.
Yeah.
They've been protesting for 2 years without stopping, and it's accomplished nothing. So it's like I'll safely predict this. I'll make 2 political predictions here on the live stream.
Oh gosh.
Top chat, feel free to chat in.
You told me specifically when we started this thing, you're like, we are going to talk about anything political.
I never said that.
My ass.
No, I'm not getting. I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just busting your balls.
I'm just saying, based on.
I'm triggered, man.
Okay, based on the way Donald Trump got elected, there is no way he won't get reelected in 2020.
They are electing him. Like they are getting him. The left is getting him elected.
My prediction, just from what I've seen and absorbed, is that for 2024, I predict it will be Ivanka. I think she's going to be the first female president in 2024.
Whoa, dude.
Because you already see sometimes they'll have this, and he'll bring her out, and then it'll be barren in 2036.
You're talking about a 50-year dynasty of Trump.
That's their worst.
Oh God.
But the thing is that as funny as it is to predict out like that, they're seeding that to be the case because people who aren't on the far left, and people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who are saying like, oh, we need free healthcare, we need free college, these things that are almost impossible.
They're siding with radicals. There's like regular people on the left that side with socialists, and they don't know what socialism really is. And they also side, they side with Antifa. No one ever is like complaining or talking about Antifa.
They side with MS-13. They're like, MS-13 are nice people. They're good boys and girls. It's like
my wife says that the far left sides with pedophiles too. Apparently, I don't know anything about that. But
every time there's a pedophile who gets exposed, is somebody in Hollywood who's like an anti-Trumper. It's like clockwork. Because they're the ones that condone that type of stuff. I mean, that's just the facts. That's just what is coming out in all the
That's a pretty fucked up bedfellows. It's
looking
as someone who's been left my whole life, I'm like, what is going on right now?
Yeah, and I mean, there's the whole walk away movement that's happened, where people are disenfranchised with the left, and they said, "Get me the hell out of here! This is insanity."
I'm with free speech, man, because free speech is in and of itself, it's authoritative. The first thing that any authoritative government does is take away free speech. That's not to equate everything to Hitler, but that's what Hitler did. That's what Stalin did. That's what Mussolini did. That's the first thing to go. Why there is no case to me? I guess the whole case that is being made is, oh, but hate speech, right? That's the buzzword. That's an invented freaking word that is undefinable, but it is definable by these speech codes where people are declaring this is hate speech, this is hate speech, this is not. It's like Antifa, like yelling and yelling down an old lady or an old veteran that's white. That's not hate speech because they're white. It's like hate speech is a stupid idea. It's just called being an asshole or not being an asshole. And
exactly. How do you define hate speech? Because it's subjective. One person is going to get offended at the smallest thing, and another person is going to get offended at the biggest thing, and it's all everybody has a different definition of it. So how do you define something by law that is so vague?
Yeah, and if you want there to be such thing as hate speech, then guess who's going to be in charge of defining hate speech? Exactly the person who you don't want to define hate speech. It's like,
Yeah.
And that's another thing about people calling, that we got called a crypto-fascist and all that bullshit. And it's like,
crypto. What the hell is a crypto-fascist?
it's like the same behavior that you see in musicians where they're like, yeah, I'm in like a post-punk, neo, sub-rock, I don't know, some weird like term that doesn't exist. It's like hip.
But the end is like, it's like post-C-punk.
It's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Post names are stupid. I have a genre for every album that I put out. So the first album last year was Zillion, and I called it psychedelic dance rock, and that kind of summed it up. And then this is like for pure marketing, like elevator speech. My new record is psychedelic future punk, or psychedelic Nintendo punk. Everything has kind of a Nintendo. Even the Western Chauvinist song, if you go listen to the actual track, not the live one, but the actual track, it's super Nintendo-y, dude. It gets me going, man. I freaking like.
I love all your 8-bit stuff you do, and we're old school game fans. Sometimes you'll see on our YouTube channel we'll play an old Nintendo game or something. But hey, man.
Y'all want a quick tour really quick? I mean, I know I gave you a little bit of it.
It's a tour.
But I put a lot of this guy on the record. I showed it to you earlier, but I'll show everybody watching. I've got like an old 71 ARP Odyssey Whiteface.
Sign me up for that. Oh, Whiteface, that's racist.
Oh yeah, it's a very racist piano. I guess they have a blackface version one too, which would probably be more racist. And then it really is. Like 1972 or something was the blackface ARP Odyssey. Got my go-to, my Guildy Guild. I love it. My girlfriend at the time passed away years ago. I was in a car accident. She passed away, and she really wanted to buy this guitar, so I bought it. And that's I call it the Lindsay guitar. And she was one of my best friends. Apparently, I play bass now. I never played bass until the first record, and I'm actually good at bass. I'm not really good at a lot of instruments. I fake a lot of them, but I'm good at bass. This is my guitar that I never play. I only got it because I like Led Zeppelin, and it's a
Nice.
fucking poser guitar. And then, dude, this is my favorite thing. So this is what I'm going to use on. This is what I'm going to use on the new record, but it's the Tascam 388, and you guys have one too. I love that we both recorded Tascam 388, and it's like I've got the, fire it up and
what's up with that channel 2 VU light, man? It seems like it's about to go out.
Yeah, it's kind of blinky. Hopefully if I don't get banned from the awesome synth shop here, because I need that.
I've owned a couple different Tascams. It's always a bummer when your VU lights are out. It's like,
getting blinky. But yeah, I'm gonna do the whole next record. The third record I'm about to start, and my quota.
Are you going to give us a sneak peek or what, man?
Dude, I've got nothing to show yet. It's all kind of I like to lay out the rules. So with
it's
all
on the chopping block.
Yeah, with all my albums, I've got rules. Or from all my albums from now on, the first album took so freaking long. It took me 2.5 years to make the first album. It took me 3 months to make Welcome to Flat Earth. And the reason why was I was on a time crunch. I'd never used tape before, but tape it's harder and it's easier. So I just went to town on it, and I don't pre-write songs. So I just hit record, make a drum track, and then just let the song kind of discover itself.
Just write it on the fly. That's cool.
And that's what was so weird about the KATX thing, because they were like kept asking over and over for intent, and no one believes. Like a lot of artists don't believe me that I really don't have intent. You just did it. I'm throwing shit at the wall, and that's what happens. That's the album. So, but yeah, my rule with the last one is I'm going to do with this third album too is no computers allowed. It's all got to be straight to tape, just bouncing tape and making it work. So I have no idea how this album's going to turn out. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I am going to try to live stream the entire record. I've got a channel set up on Twitch, and I might do it on YouTube as well, maybe Facebook. But I'm going to try. My goal is to live stream the entire record where people can just watch. It might be boring, but we'll see.
Oh, that's cool. And that's another thing that, like, I feel like a lot of people who, you know, misunderstood you and framed you basically for an opinion that you never said you had, is that, like, music is just intended to be an excerpt of your mind at the time. It's like you feel a certain way, you feel a certain emotion, you get inspired, you write it and you record it, you put it out, and it's kind of like a documented old dairy log or something, and it's like, let's keep talking about that thing that you wrote like over and over again. It's like, no, it's like I just wrote it at that time. Move forward. And
I had already moved on. I was already starting this third record when all this crap blew up. So I'm kind of like, all right, I guess I'm still on this album.
That's so funny that you use the Tascam 388 and we do too, and that we're starting on our third album. That's
dude,
funny.
Let's release it on the same day. Let's have a release birthday.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. It's past our bedtime, so we'll say good luck with your forthcoming album, and good luck, man. Because you know, Austin, you got some agitators in the mix. You got some people who are very, 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 very fired up, and they're.
And the advice that I can from all the stuff that we've experienced, the advice that I can give you is like, you know, since you are on Facebook and on Twitter and stuff, like, don't let people lie about you, because that's the worst feeling. It's like,
that's the thing, and I've been getting crap about punching back about that stuff. Like, why are you responding? Like, I don't respond to every comment, but I do respond to articles and people in power positions.
Yeah, and people don't like it when they feel like their fake authority gets questioned. It's like, well, people have opinions. You can't just control somebody like that. And people, the weird thing about, I don't know if we have like a lot of mutual friends, but a lot of the people that we knew would just like straight up lie about us just because they disagree with our politics. Like there was one girl from Canada, I think, who actually about that story where the Proud Boy went into the bar and they were just like getting drinks and stuff, and then somebody started punching the guy and she refused to call the police. Did you hear about that story?
No. What?
Basically, this Proud Boy, he like started getting punched, and when in the bathroom, like what's the word? Like sucker punched.
Yeah, when the guy was by himself to go take a piss, these guys went up and punched him in the back of the head.
And then she refused to call the police because he was a Proud Boy and he was like bleeding from the head. And that same girl, at the time of the Dream Machine controversy, she made up this whole lie that she was like, yeah, I slept with Matthew Melton like years ago and I really regret it, and that like never happened. And it's just for like attention.
Well, this whole thing is like a divorce, you know. It's like anytime there's a divorce, it's like, all right, you got the husband, you got the wife, and they're not together anymore, and they all have the same friends, and now their friends are like, oh God, who do I go with? Oh. So at some point, all my friends at some point are going to be asked, "What do you think about Ty? You think he got a raw deal, or do you think he was just being an opportunist, or what's the deal?" And that draws a line in the sand for them. Like, do I go with the popular thing and support for KTX and support, and like, should I just pretend like I'm, you know, they have a definite opinion either way, but they're going to be pressured to take a side, just like every divorce, like every friend of every divorce has to pick a side.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now. And
real quick to Oswald, Ovation Breadwinner. He's asking what guitar is that in the background. But
this dude is getting hung up here.
Oh no, I think he was asking about my guitar.
What is that?
Oh, it's just an Ovation Breadwinner. Ovation made electrics, I think, from in like the early 70s. It's like a 70s.
That's rad. That's really rad.
Anyway, man, we're gonna hang it up. But dude, good luck to you, man. Best of luck. Yeah, don't cower down to them, you know, because they're gonna say and do anything because you have to be contained. You know, you're a non-quantity.
I'm a PR nightmare right now. I'm aware.
people will do, and they'll from our experience, I don't know if you're gonna have a similar situation or not, but from our experience, people will literally go out of their way to straight up lie about you, say things that never, ever, ever, ever happened. People that you don't know. Just so they can virtue signal to other people to show how much they hate you, so they can seem like the better person. And the best thing is like, don't take it personally. They just are desperate for attention, and they chose your subject to.
You're in a little bit better position than us because they were taking quotes out of context, and we had a little bit more of a catapult action to our controversy, but yours is a little bit more like. What are we doing with this guy? But ours was just like, off with the head. It was no question about it.
Man, I really want to thank you guys for reaching out to me and supporting me, because I mean, even right before we did this thing tonight, I had a really hard heart-to-heart conversation with a friend, and man, he really didn't support me and didn't support what I was doing, and that's fine. That's his decision. I'm not whining about it, but it's hard to tell a friend, like a real friend, what you went through and know that they're looking back at you like you're crazy and they don't believe you.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything more sad right now. And I'm not trying to but it was just, dude, I was super bummed out before we started this thing, and I had to just take a minute before we got on just to really be like, all right, this is the reality. And I know what I'm getting into. I'm a big boy. I knew the song was controversial. I know that I'm fucking with a very big power in Austin, but that's why I'm doing this, man. I'm not
a good thing, because the more people speak out, the more people like you that are saying like, hey, I'm not down with this, the more the chances are that it is going to change.
There's a huge sea change happening right now, and no one wants to say it. No one wants to talk about the things. So I guess since I'm already a pariah anyway, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, and it's not cool that people who are your friends would take. They're so stubborn about the politics stuff that they will literally cut ties with people that they've known for so literally cut tie.
Cut ties.
But it's it's so crazy because they knew you, they're your friend, and then they would choose what other people think over your friendship, and it's just so messed up that people won't even people saying about the similar stuff like, oh yeah, Matthew Melton, I've known him for so long, he was always a nice guy, but I guess he's not really that great. It's like, well, why don't you take your personal experience with that person, because you've talked.
Right. Now your politics and your loyalty to a media company matter more than a friendship. That's pretty fucked up, man.
So basically you're saying I care more about my reputation than the people who actually care about me and who are my friends.
Well, I guess
and I feel like I speak for both of us when we don't feel like any of us here don't feel like we have it all figured out. Like, I want to have my mind changed. I want to hear the other perspective. And it's like, we don't have it all figured out.
I tried to talk to KUTX this week. I tried to get together where we could have a mediator and talk. Dude, they won't do it. It's not going to happen. They don't want to have the conversation. They want to shut down conversations.
That's insane. We've had some people who wouldn't even talk to us at all. Like our bassist, the bassist who was in Dream Machine, we didn't even say anything. After the controversy, we just didn't say a word to each other. Nothing.
And just for the record, we'd already let our rhythm section go because we were moving to Europe. So,
it was friendly, but then it was the thing of
and those are good guys. We had some good times with them. And,
it definitely us in the back. They said all this weird stuff about us that wasn't true.
Yeah, well, they had to. They had to, or else they were complicit. So it's a weird phenomenon when the politics become so heated. But hey, man, thanks for coming on, and good luck, and just
you got this. When you realize that these people don't actually care about anything but their own reputation, it's easy to be like, you know what, I don't give a fuck, At a certain point, it's just like, okay, these people are so obsessed with their, with how they're perceived socially that it really doesn't matter, because these people care more about Kim Kardashian than Nikola Tesla. You know what I mean? They care more about what was put out on Pitchfork than looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, "Hey, what's wrong with me? How can I improve myself?" So these people don't. Their opinions really don't matter.
Yeah.
They're always on Facebook. They're always
Well
talking
said.
shit, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well, I hope it's smaller than it seems. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of support from people, but you know, there's a, you know, I hope that there are less alt left people in Austin than I think.
You're about to find out. And
Yeah.
everybody
There we go.
that area, be sure to subscribe to Ty. I have his YouTube channel in the description. You know, YouTube is relatively friendly. We've had some funny business on our channel. We've had them do some, you know, they come in and they do what's called auditing views, and we've had like some views disappear or something, you know, like
What? Yeah.
somebody clicked on it twice, so they'll take it,
Yeah.
comb those out. So we've had things go drop in views, drop in
Yeah.
subscribers, and it's like, what in the, some funny shit with the algorithm. So, but you know, in general, you can say whatever you like on here.
Yeah. And I just shameless plug, but go check out my Bandcamp too, because I've got vinyl on there. My wife's gonna kill me. My wife's gonna kill me if I don't get all the vinyl out of my garage. I've just got all this, or like actually, it's not in the garage. That would wreck it, but it's in the closet. But yeah, I need to get rid of my vinyl. Let's do this.
Yeah.
website for people to
It's tyrichards.com, and you can get to the store from there. You can get to everything from there. I'm more active on Instagram and my Facebook than Twitter, but we'll see.
Facebook is also just Ty Richards.
Yeah, it's slash Ty. Everything is slash Ty Richards Music.
Awesome.
Cool.
But, yeah, check it out. And man, thank you guys so much for supporting me and for having this conversation. Man, no one wants to have a conversation, and I love it. And let's do some shows, and let's make some music together. Musical babies.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
We've got an Australian tour in the works, and we need a rhythm section to make it happen. So maybe you could jump on bass for that one or something. 2 weeks.
I would love to.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll be in touch.
All right.
It's great to connect with you.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for talking with us and letting us also share a little bit about, you know, everything that's happened in Austin with us this year. And it's crazy how many similarities there are in our stories.
No, I love you, Matthew. I love you, Doris. This is
We love you too.
now, and be careful. You won't be the last one. So there should be other dominoes to fall around there, because people, you know, you can only pretend like you are in the cool club for so long before you say, hey, this is the in crowd.
I've never really been in the cool club anyway. I've looked like I have been, but I'm just a poser. So,
well, the cool club's looking pretty weird in a lot of places. So,
Yeah. When are your twin girls coming, by the way?
around November. It's
Nice.
Congratulations.
Famous Matthews, November.
nice.
Scorpios.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, yeah, keep cranking out those healthy babies, and we'll do the same, and
Babies.
we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, babies and musical babies.
Hey, there you go,
Yeah.
man. Just keep them coming.
Make-
You guys take care.